This is the George here, and we are with another episode of Common Sense in Pop Culture. I know it's been a few weeks since we've done an episode, but we're back at it, and today we're going to be talking about the Odyssey, the box office amazement that it's been doing, as well as the critical response, despite certain people online hating on the movie, and last night's recent news with the MCU. And maybe if we have some time, maybe we can talk about some Spider-Man Brand New Day theories and final predictions, because that movie comes out this week. Now, I originally wanted to do this stream a couple weeks ago before the Odyssey came out, talking about the backlash Odyssey was getting before it came out, and also bringing up other stuff that I don't think we need to bring up, but if we have time, I'll bring up. But between what's going on with the Odyssey after week 2 and last night's news, it is time to do another episode of Common Sense in Pop Culture. And we're going to start with the Odyssey. And by the way, before we continue on, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone that is into Christopher Nolan movies, the Odyssey, and Marvel movies. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started. So, I've already reviewed the Odyssey. Everyone knows how I feel about the movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. I actually rewatched it this weekend because my mom wanted to see it, so I took my mom to go see it, and she also enjoyed it a lot. I know she's been into some Christopher Nolan movies of recently. I showed her Inception a few years ago during the COVID lockdowns, as well as Oppenheimer when it came out in theaters not too long ago. So she enjoyed it. She had a great time with it. Had a great cast, had a great director. But a lot of online hate towards the movie. Hate because people are bringing up the fact that Lupita Nyong'o is playing Helen of Troy. They bring up the fact that Elliot Page is in the movie as well. But the reality is that these people just had less than 10 minutes of screen time. These actors, they're not in it that much. When I think of just how well made the Odyssey is, from the powerful performances of some of the actors like Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, to just, the cinematography, the practical work on the movie, showing that Nolan obviously values doing practical work in an era where everything's green screened, everything's CGI. And the response that Christopher Nolan has made in response to this, calling them irrelevant, he handled it in a way that I think a lot of people should, learn from, because Christopher Nolan, he's not the first, nor is he going to be the last to deal with this corner of movie talk, of fandom, this corner that if they think something's deemed woke, or I should say the opposite of their social and political beliefs, it's all of a sudden a bad movie. And I should know this because I used to watch these channels. I was there when the Captain Marvel stuff was going on. This was like 2018, 2019, after Infinity War. It was also after Last Jedi when this stuff started. And I know some people will say, well, the social political stuff, didn't that begin in pop culture with Ghostbusters 2016? But I think it really took off after Last Jedi. It took off after Last Jedi. And I think Captain Marvel accelerated a bit because people were bringing up, Brie Larson made comments about how she didn't want white guys reviewing A Wrinkle in Time, which I thought was stupid comments as well. I wasn't big on that either. And I wasn't big on the movie Captain Marvel either. I thought it was one of the more boring MCU movies. I still believe that these years later. I got nothing against Brie Larson, though. I think she's a talented actress. But yeah, I didn't care for Captain Marvel. But I remember that whole thing. So this isn't anything new. This happened with Ghostbusters 2016, but that was a bad movie. And I think Paul Feig, I think that was the director's name. He clearly did not handle that well. I think he just made things worse for himself and for his cast. Nolan, though, has handled this very well. And here's the thing that we got to bring up about the Odyssey. The Odyssey has not fallen victim to review bomb like other movies had. The Odyssey so far has gotten fantastic scores on sites like IMDb, like Letterboxd. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you some proof. So we're going to start with IMDb, which is an easy site to review bomb, to score bomb. Because IMDb, you don't need to show proof that you saw the movie. 8 point is an 8.5. I don't want to show the trailer, so I'm going to bring that down. But yeah, it has a. Hold on, let me just pause it. Pause it. Why is it not pausing? I don't want to get striked, so. But yeah, it has an 8.5. So now let's find a Rotten Tomatoes. Because this is another one where I think you can, the audience score. So reviews 94, which is pretty much, I feel like, a usual typical Nolan score for his best movies. I think Dark Knight and Oppenheimer got around there. 97 on the popcorn meter. Now I think things have changed where you have to show proof that you saw the movie, but I think there's some people that are hate watching the movie. But still, in comparison to other movies, like this could have easily gotten review bombed as well, even if you have to show proof that you saw the movie. So that the 97%, that's very high. Hold on, did I share the screen? Hold on, I didn't. Here's the proof. Yeah. Verified ratings. So there we go. So again, that could have been easily review bomb, but it wasn't. Now let's try Letterboxd next and see what the score is on Letterboxd. All right, let me just pull it up. .4. That is a lot. And this is another site that I think could easily be review bomb because you don't have to show proof that you saw the movie. Now there are, I guess, like 5,458 that gave it half a star, but in comparison to the 58,179 that gave it a 5-star, that's incredible. And look, I'm not going to deny that there's probably some people that could be review bombing it in a positive way, giving it a higher score than it needs to be. But it's clear that the vast majority of people are positive on this movie because the second highest score is 540,375, giving it 4.5 stars. And then you've got 417,399 giving it 4 stars. And yeah. So even if they're not thinking, even though if they're not giving this a perfect score, they're still giving it 4.5 stars out of 5, which is still highly positive for this movie. So there we go. I think that's kind of it for the sites that matter. But yeah, there's no review bomb campaign. If there was, it failed. And let me see what the box office looks like so far, because this movie is doing fantastic at the box office. All right. And by the way, on another positive note about the box office, Obsession has become the sixth highest grossing horror movie of all time with 458 million worldwide, which is pretty remarkable. But again, it just shows that people want to see great movies. Okay, I found it. Now let's share the screen and show. So the Odyssey is now at 639 million worldwide, and it is expected to earn at least 1.3 billion worldwide. So not only is it already one of the highest grossing movies of the year, but it is gonna be the fourth $1 billion movie of the year, or it's projected to be the fourth $1 billion movie of the year. This week, or this weekend, I think it was this weekend or later last week, because it's Sunday, it's a new week. Toy Story 5 became the third highest third $1 billion movie of 2026. Mario and the Michael Jackson movie were the other two. It looks like the Odyssey. And this is really remarkable because, first of all, it's proof that Christopher Nolan movies, with the exception of Tenet, which obviously had that September 2020 when a lot of theaters were still shut down, COVID was happening, kind of thing. But with the exception of Tenet, ever since Nolan established himself with the Dark Knight trilogy, his movies tend to do very well at the box office. Oppenheimer made over $900 million at the box office. And when you consider the fact that that movie came out the same weekend as Barbie, which made $1 billion worldwide, it came out right when the actor strike had started, which meant that, you know, in the couple days right before the movie, right when it premiered, they can't do interviews and all this other stuff because of the strike. It still did very well. So 1.3 billion worldwide, at least projected. That's pretty remarkable. Here's why. Number one, this would be the third R-rated movie to cross $1 billion worldwide. Joker did it first in 2019, and then a couple years ago, Deadpool and Wolverine was the second one to do it. And people don't realize just how hard it is for an R-rated movie to make $1 billion worldwide, because not everyone watches R-rated movies. Obviously, it's not recommended for the kids. If you're a parent, that's up to you if you want to take your kid to go see an R-rated movie. And obviously, what the unique thing is with Deadpool, Wolverine, and Joker is those are movies based off of popular characters. So Spider-Man, well, not Spider-Man, Joker, Batman villain, even though it's not like Batman, but still like Joker's very popular as a character. And the fact that there was a lot of discourse that got a lot of people intrigued by the movie. And then, of course, with Deadpool and Wolverine, uh, Deadpool's first movie in the MCU, Hugh Jackman coming back to play Wolverine. It was a no-brainer that was going to make $1 billion worldwide. So now you've got Christopher Nolan, who his only other $2 billion movies are The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, which, again, those are Batman movies. Now, let's take a look at what this could look like. So, right now, Dark Knight Rises is the highest grossing Christopher Nolan movie. We're on Wikipedia. This is the top 50 highest grossing movies worldwide. And let's see. Dark Knight Rises made 1,081 that well 81,169,825 million dollars. That's a lot. Joker, the first R-rated movie to make $1 billion, is $1,074,458,282. All right, that's impressive. Now let's look at Deadpool Wolverine. So Deadpool Wolverine is the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time, and that made $1,338,073,645 worldwide. Now this is in the $1.3 billion category. So if what Discussing Film says is true, it looks like it's going to be in this area, which means it would probably make, assuming it keeps doing well, around the same kind of money that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Star Wars The Last Jedi, Deadpool Wolverine, and Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Black Panther, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know if it's going to make that much. I originally predicted that it was going to do Oppenheimer money, which was over $900 million worldwide, which I think was still going to be great for the movie, for an R-rated movie. But the fact that we're now looking at $1.3 billion is impressive. Especially because in a post-COVID world, it's hard for a movie to make $1 billion worldwide. No, this is actually kind of remarkable. So, like the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time, by the way, it's Avatar, Avengers Endgame. I wonder if that's going to go up. I wonder if Endgame, when it gets re-released in September, I wonder if that's going to top Avatar. That's gonna be interesting to see. Number 3, Avatar: The Way of Water. Number 4, Titanic. Number 5, sorry if I mispronounced this, Sneeze 2. It's some animated Chinese movie that came out last year. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Avengers: Infinity War, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Zootopia 2, and Inside Out 2. This is an interesting lineup of movies. By the way, I'm looking down. Yeah, at one point, Toy Story 3 was like the 4th highest grossing movie of all time. Now it's 44. So like 40 other movies in the last 16 years toppled it. And by the way, this is the top 50 highest grossing movies of all time. There's some movies below that, like The Dark Knight, that made $1 billion worldwide. I remember that was like the 4th highest grossing movie of all time. But no, Odyssey looks like it's gonna do fine. I know some people will say, well, what about Spider-Man Brand New Day when it comes out? Because it looks like Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to break a ton of records, which is true. And I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is ultimately going to have a better box office by the time it's done with its theatrical run than the Odyssey, because, it's Spider-Man. It's the sequel to No Way Home. Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, Far From Home also made $1 billion worldwide. It's also, I don't think it's going to tie into Doomsday, but it's the last MCU movie before Doomsday as well. And August does not really look like it's going to be a competitive month, which I think also benefits the Odyssey, where the fact that its only competition is going to be Brand New Day. Because let's face it, this summer, between the weekends between Toy Story 5 and the Odyssey has been a disappointment. It's been a disappointment. I mean, Supergirl bombed bad. Moana bombed bad. I think Minions, the Minion movie, I think it did okay. But I don't think it did as well as the other Despicable Me Minions movies. I think Minions and Monsters, I think that's what it's called. I think that movie underperformed to what the usual standard is for a Minions movie or movie in the Despicable Me franchise, because usually those movies do super well. I'm checking the box office right now. I'm going to show the box office for the year so far. Now, this is going to be 2026's. There we go. So right now, Toy Story 5. Oh, apparently Toy Story 5 is the highest grossing movie of the year. It surpassed Michael in Super Mario Galaxy. Okay. So we got $3 billion movies right here. Devil Wears Prada 2 made over 600 million. Never saw it, but hey, good for the people that like those movies. Project Hail Mary did pretty well, 684 million. Pegasus 3, what the heck was this? Oh, a Chinese movie. Okay, that did pretty well. Odyssey is already at 640, so that movie's doing well. Obsession, The Minions and Monsters, and Backrooms. This is remarkable, by the way, that Obsession and Backrooms are in the top 10 worldwide horror movies directed by YouTubers that were also well received. Obviously, next weekend, Backrooms is not going to be in this top 10 anymore because it's going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. But yeah, Minions and Monsters. This is low for a Despicable Me movie. I want to look at the Despicable Me box office, like of the movies, because I know one. There's been a couple that I think got close to making a lot of money or $1 billion. I'm looking that up right now because now I'm curious. Hey, Crazy Joe, welcome. Backrooms was so bad. I didn't see Backrooms. I saw Obsession. Crazy Joe, I don't know if you saw Obsession. I hope she enjoys it. I haven't really heard that much positive stuff about it. I don't know if you saw The Odyssey or Toy Story 5 or Obsession. I don't know if you saw any of those movies yet, Crazy Joe. But yeah, so by the way, I do have the Despicable Me thing. I'm gonna show that to show how the movie's been underperforming in comparison to the other movies. Oh, hey, CJH. Oh, I have no idea about that. Nice. Do you have a favorite out of those three, or like a least favorite that you want to share? I need to see Obsession again. I didn't really like it in the theater, but I heard it was probably a bad theater experience. You know, actually did have a bad. I almost had a bad theater experience with Obsession. What happened was, so I saw it on a day where I had off of work. It was a Thursday, and the schools were also closed that day, and so there were teenagers in my theater, and these like teenagers would not stop talking like right to when the movie started. And I was like worried that these teenagers are not going to shut up. They're going to keep yapping. Luckily, they stopped talking when the movie began. But yeah, no, during the previews, I thought I was getting a taste of what it was going to be. Yeah, Masters of the Universe is very underrated. But hey, Masters of the Universe, it's doing well on Amazon. It's doing pretty well so far on Amazon, which is good. Because I thought that was a very good movie, and it's a shame that it did not do well in the box office. Let me just also bring up the Despicable. I want to bring up the Despicable Me movies box office because just to bring up how disappointing the Means and Monsters thing. Oh, No, I get what you mean, Crazy Joe. I understand that. So here's the Despicable Me box office. So the first one, 543 million. Second one did 970 million. Third one, that one and Minions were the ones that made $1 billion worldwide. I knew there was two of them that did. Despicable Me 4 did 972. That's pretty good. Minions Rise of Gru did 940, which was like a year, I think, when normality was finally coming back to the box office. So that's impressive. Minions and Monsters, though, in comparison to the rest of these, yikes. You think they should re-release movies after they do well on streaming? That's a good question. I honestly have no idea. Like, if a movie starts to flop in theaters and released in streaming as well. So Rise of Gru was unfortunately delayed forever because it was supposed to open right during COVID. Yeah, I remember it was supposed to come out in 2020. Like, that was one of the movies that got delayed by 2 years, which is crazy. Because I remember one of the first movies I saw in theaters was Ray of the Last Dragon. I remember there was a preview for Minions Rise of Gru. That was 2021. It was March 2021, and the movie didn't come out for another year. But anyways, Odyssey. I think Odyssey is gonna make a billion. I think it's gonna make more than The Dark Knight Rises. And you know what? That's props to Nolan, and it shows that these people do not have influence. The reality is that Elon Musk, who claims he's gonna make with Grok a true version of the Odyssey for later this year, these people have no influence whatsoever. The reality is that people are not listening to these chuds anymore. They just are not. They don't care. And by the way, even people that support and agree with these people are disagreeing with them. Take Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers, for example. He's actually been praising the Odyssey, and he's also a Nolan fanboy. Like, and he's even admitted that he's a Nolan fanboy, but still. But it also reminds everyone that Christopher Nolan has a strong fan base for a director. And by the way, apparently Christopher Nolan is now the third highest grossing director behind, I don't know who, I can't remember who was number one or two, but I know it was Spielberg and James Cameron. Probably James Cameron and then Spielberg. Because Spielberg's made 100 movies, but James Cameron's got 4 movies that have made $1 billion worldwide. But now we got Spider-Man Brain Nate coming out next weekend, but I don't think it's going to disrupt it because August does not look like it's really got a lot coming out. I'm going to look at the list of August movies, but usually August is usually never that big of a month. So let's see. Yeah, there's really nothing that I think is going to disrupt it. Um, I know there's another Insidious movie coming out, but I don't think I don't think Insidious movies are that big of a box office draw, and that's like the middle end of August that comes out. Coyote versus Acme, which I am super excited for. That's the end of August. I don't know if that's going to do well. So, yeah, August does not look like it's going to be that big of a month. So, yeah, Brand New Day and the Odyssey really got nothing to worry about. So there we go. And I think the Odyssey is going to dominate when the award seasons begin. It's probably going to win a lot of technical awards. Probably going to win. I don't know if it's going to win Best Picture. The thing is, a lot of the award season movies don't come out until after October. They usually come out November and December. So I don't know what Odyssey's award season competition is gonna be yet, but it's gonna be a heavy favorite. I feel like. Crazy Joe says that Supergirl should open in August. Stacking up against Toy Story Means was a mistake. It was a mistake. I agree with that. I don't know though if it. I don't know when in August it should have came out. Probably like maybe the end of August or around like middle end of August because the beginning of August was gonna get dominated by Spider-Man in the Odyssey. More people were excited for Spider-Man than Supergirl. And even if let's say Supergirl got better reviews and Supergirl was a better movie, it was not gonna beat out Spider-Man. I wonder when the Avengers Endgame re-release is gonna be. Because I know that's supposed to be in September. Because for those of you who don't know, before Doomsday comes out later this month, not this month, later this year, sorry, we do have a re-release of Avengers. Okay, so it's being re-released on September 25th, 2026. So yeah, it was September 25th, 2026. So the end of September. But I'm excited. I'm very curious to see what they're gonna add. Listen, there is no theater experience except maybe the No Way Home theater experience that truly was special that I had than Avengers Endgame. That was a truly special theater experience. It was that opening weekend. It was a Saturday night. My mom went to see it. The theater was full. Such a crowd pleaser. You'll go see it again. Are you talking about Avengers Endgame? Yeah, I think I'll see that again. The thing is, for me, I've really been in this mood to go rewatch movies in theater. Last year, I rewatched 3 movies in theaters. I rewatched Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. I rewatched Dogma when that got re-released. I rewatched Jaws. Actually, I'll include the Hamilton as well because I first watched Hamilton even though it wasn't in theaters on Disney Plus when it came out in 2020, but then I saw it in the theater. And by the way, I've actually seen Jaws twice in theaters. I watched it for the first time in 2022 when it got released on IMAX. It was movie, it was cheap movie ticket day. Tickets were only $3, so I got to watch Jaws for $3 on IMAX at the AMC, and I rarely go to the AMC. I like going to my independent theater. I watched Dogma at the Alamo. And I love watching old movies at the Alamo. I saw Spider-Man 2 when it got re-released a couple years ago. I watched Vertical from Alfred Hitchcock a few years ago. I'm always going to visit the theater. I try to get the drive-in off. They showed Predator last time we went. Oh, I don't think there's any drive-ins where I live. I wish there was. I've never done a drive-in experience before. I gotta do that one day. I'll be on my bucket list. But yeah, Odyssey overall, Odyssey's doing well. Who cares what these haters say. They clearly have no influence. Although their new thing is to say that the modern audiences are dumb. Yo, Muppet Christmas Carol. I love Muppet Christmas Carol. That I would go watch in the theaters if it got re-released in theaters. I would definitely do that. Were there any other Christmas movies being released at the drive-in theater besides Muppet Christmas Carol? Because there are certain Christmas movies I would go see in theater. I would go watch It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Story if it got re-released in theaters. I really would. I would love to experience old movies in theaters. I saw Jaws in theaters twice. I saw Vertigo. I'm very open to it. Heck, if the Wizard of Oz got re-released in theaters, I would go see that. Oh, it's a Muppet Christmas Night. Yeah, I know. There's the Muppets got quite a few Christmas movies. I know there was one where I forget what the kid's name was, but I think it was I think a Gonzo was trying to deliver a letter to Santa, and I think the guy that played Santa in that movie, I could be wrong, was played by the guy that plays Harry Potter's Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter movies. Emmett Otter, okay. But I think that covers the Odyssey stuff. Because I know, like, I was on Aaron's stream last night, and me and Blinded, Sideways, and Red, we talked about it a little bit. But this is a good thing for cinema. I think overall, movies just doing so well. Whether it's a Christopher Nolan movie, a Pixar movie, a biography movie, a superhero movie, horror movie. Movies just doing well. It's just such a great thing because after COVID hit, there was this big concern that the theaters weren't going to recover. Oh yeah, I know Harry Potter's getting released in theaters. I want to see Harry Potter in theaters again. That I would love to experience again. I know Sorcerer's Stone's getting a re-release. I think all of them are, but they're highlighting Sorcerer's Stone more. I think Sorcerer's Stone might get a bigger, wide re-release. You know what, Crazy Joe? This is the high road you took. Saying that, yeah, it did nothing for me, but I'm happy to see that it's doing well. And, regardless of what the movie is, the box office needs to do well, and watching the Chuds eat crow is fun. CJH wasn't moved by the Odyssey. But you know what? That's okay. Listen. It's one thing to have genuine criticisms of the Odyssey saying, yeah, it did nothing for me, just wasn't interesting for me. And look, I've got coworkers that are like, hey, it's just not my kind of thing. I'm not going to see it. But to hate on it like the Chuds are, like when the Chuds are hating on it because they want Sydney Sweeney playing Helen of Troy, which, by the way, all these people, and this is nothing against Sydney Sweeney either. These people keep saying Sydney Sweeney should play this role and that role. Do you guys even show up for these Sydney Sweeney movies? Do these chuds show up for her movies? Because I don't think her movies have done that well in the box office. Even if she's in a good movie, I don't think they've done well in the box office. And it's like they're just so triggered by these small appearances. And what kills me is they start to do the revisionist thing where they say Nolan's a hack, that Nolan was really bad all these years. It's like, no. Even if the Odyssey was bad, or even if I didn't like the Odyssey, it was not going to change how I felt about Nolan's other movies. It wasn't going to change how I felt about the Dark Knight trilogy or Memento, Inception, Oppenheimer. Interstellar, Insomnia, The Prestige, Dunkirk. I'm iffy on Tenet. I gotta rewatch Tenet. I think when I first watched Tenet, the reason why I was so excited about it was probably because it was the first movie I saw in theaters in months. I gotta go rewatch it. But even his first movie, Following, was pretty good though. But this wasn't gonna change how I felt about Nolan's filmography, which for the most part I love. And it wasn't going to change how I probably felt about his future movies, which, by the way, I think Christopher Nolan should do a horror movie for his next movie. The Odyssey has shown like there were a few elements of horror in that movie he did well in. Stuff with the Cyclops, stuff with Cersei, stuff with on Hades, and even in Batman Begins with like the Scarecrow toxin stuff. Christopher Nolan should do a horror movie for his next movie. I think he can really do well. And with the rise in the genre between the box office and critics and audiences really digging modern day horror from Sinners and Weapons to Obsession and Backrooms, I think Nolan should do that for his next movie. I'm really hit or miss with Nolan. I absolutely love Memento, his first Batman movie. Didn't care for Prestige, 10 Insomnia. Prestige, like when I was 14, I watched Prestige for the first time in class. It was like the end of the school year, so we're kind of just watching movies. Most of my classmates didn't care about it. I was very intrigued by it. Insomnia took me a few watches to really dig it. The first time I watched, I was like, it was okay. Second time, I thought it was good. And the third time, I finally was digging it. I was finally getting into it. Tenet, I got to rewatch. The only like sweet. Okay, in fairness to Sydney Sweeney, I don't think she's ever said that she supports Donald Trump. All that's came out about her was that she was a registered Republican. And here's the thing, just because she's a registered Republican doesn't mean she likes Donald Trump, because I know a lot of registered Republicans, believe it or not, that despise Donald Trump. Listen, I'm still a registered Republican and I can't stand Donald Trump. Like, I truly can't stand him. And I'm still a registered Republican. I think though, because she was silent and she never said anything against Trump, that's why. Same reason they like Gina Carano and Elon Musk. Trump, Trump, Trump. Yeah, Crazy Joe, I'm the same way. Me and my family are the same way. Me and my mom, we're registered Republicans. We can't stand Trump. My mom, the last two presidential elections, she voted Democrat. Same, so have I. My mom, well, my mom, she only voted for Trump in 2016 just because she strongly disliked Hillary, but she so regrets it. But we also live in a state where the Democratic nominee is going to win either way. But yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left me. Yeah, I love all three Dark Knight trilogy movies. I like Dark Knight Rises. It's the weakest of the three, but I still like that movie a lot. And that's another thing. All these people that are going against Christopher Nolan, like there's some people that have accused Christopher Nolan of making Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises Republican leading movies because, well, in the case of Dark Knight Rises, it's more so Dark Knight Rises than Dark Knight because they see Dark Knight Rises as being critical of the Occupy Wall Street movement. I don't know. I've never really saw it as that. I saw it more so of criticizing extremist terrorism and also a commentary on how keeping alive for so many years can have like long-term consequences. Oh my, you talking about the bridge scene from Dark Knight Rises. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, CGH. But you know, these people like they're acting like Nolan's acting. I remember these people a few years ago were hyping up Oppenheimer, and don't get me wrong, Oppenheimer I thought was a fantastic movie. I thought it deserved to get hyped up, but we all know they were hyping it up because they wanted the movie they claimed to be woke Barbie to do so bad, even though it made $1 billion worldwide. See, that's the thing. They think they have an influence on certain movies. They think they have they influence Supergirl. Supergirl was never going to do that well at the box office. Supergirl's mixed response from critics and audiences had nothing to do with girl power and Millie Allicock's comments, which I didn't even think were controversial. The movie was just a mixed bag of a movie, and it was going to be that way regardless of who was going to play Supergirl. So they really don't have an influence. They really don't. But let's get into Marvel, because Marvel's had, this is basically the first big weekend for Marvel before its other big weekend, which is Brand New Day. So Brand New Day comes out this weekend. That movie's gonna probably make a ton of money. And this weekend was Comic-Con. And DC really didn't have a strong presence at Comic-Con. I think they were just talking about Clayface and Lanterns, which I'm excited for both, despite how Supergirl turned out. I'm still I'm still going to be positive on the DCU because I liked Creature Commandos, I like Superman, I like Peacemaker Season 2. The Clayface trailers, I really dig them. And I mean, the first Lanterns trailer I wasn't that big on, but the more recent ones I have been. And Man of Tomorrow is one of my most anticipated movies of next year. But, yep, let's talk about the big news. The big news of yesterday, which is what Marvel's plans are post Secret Wars, or at least some of them. We don't really know what the huge plans are. We know that they want to make a movie on Nova, but we have no idea when that movie's gonna come out. We know they want to do X-Men, but I think they are waiting for after Brand New Day to give more information on on the MCU version of X-Men, because I'm pretty sure at this point it's a 95% guarantee that Sadie Sink in Brand New Day is going to be Jean Grey. That is basically 95% guaranteed. I will be shocked at this point if she isn't. And I think they're waiting until after the movie to confirm it, because she is the first of the new X-Men casting. Again, I could be wrong, but it's looking very certain at this point. I'm glad I didn't hate Supergirl. There were things about it that I enjoyed. I don't think it was as bad of a movie as people made it out to be. But yeah, it's not as good as Superman, though. I loved Superman last year. And yeah, I'm excited for Lanterns very much as well. But yeah, I think they're gonna make the X-Men casting announcement, like the official one, after Brand New Day. I don't know if it's gonna happen right after Brand New Day, because they're gonna want to probably wait a couple weeks. So the first casting announcement we're gonna talk about is, of course, Ghost Rider. We finally got our Ghost Rider in the MCU. And it is none other than Ryan Gosling playing Ghost Rider. And I'm very excited for this one because I'm a huge Ryan Gosling fan. This is a casting announcement that obviously has been one that fans have theorized. I feel like it's always like fans have always thought it was gonna wanted either Ryan Gosling or Keanu Reeves. And I would have been fine with either one. I do think, however, if Ghost Rider is in your long term plans for the MCU, that it would make more sense to go with Ryan Gosling than Keanu Reeves. Now, Keanu, while he's still doing such great stunt work in his 60s, early 60s, if you want a Ghost Rider for the next 10 to 15 years, you probably should go Ryan Gosling. Now, Ryan Gosling's not a young spring chicken either. I'm pretty sure he's in his mid 40s. I'm gonna check real quick. Yeah, he's 45 years old. He's gonna be 46. Holy crap, he's gonna be 46 later this month. He's good for his age. That is crazy. Crazy Joe says I got to shoot Ghost Rider. I don't like they're not treating Agents of Shield as canon. It was promoted as it's all connected. That's my only thing. The thing is, I feel like Agents of Shield has just been pushed to the side, and it just feels so weird. I forgot Gabriel Luna was Ghost Rider. Yeah, the that is gonna be that's still the biggest mystery with Marvel, like how they treated Agents of Shield. But anyways, Ryan Gosling, it's been the makings. I feel like for quite a while. Sean Levy, who Ryan Gosling did Star Wars Starfighter with, which is coming out next year, is going to be directing it. He previously directed Deadpool and Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds. And I know a lot of people on Twitter, I already see some people saying, I'm out. Ugh, Sean Levy. And look, I know Sean Levy doesn't have the best filmography, but he does make entertaining movies. At least I think they're entertaining. I like Deadpool and Wolverine. And here's the thing, I think Ghost Rider, the reality is Ghost Rider is most likely going to be an R-rated movie. Sean Levy already did the first R-rated MCU movie and made it a success. And it's one of the better ones of post Endgame. I thought it was one of the better ones post Endgame. And it seems like actors that have worked with Sean Levy really enjoy working with him because Ryan Reynolds before Deadpool Wolverine did Free Guy with Sean Levy. Ryan Gosling just recently did the Star Wars movie with it. So obviously there's something about Sean Levy that these actors like, where they're clearly endorsing them to take on these projects. You don't think that Marvel wouldn't have hired Sean Levy unless Ryan Reynolds endorsed him, and plus Hugh Jackman, who also worked on with Sean Levy on Real Steel years ago, which I think is an underrated movie. You don't think Ryan Gosling didn't have a say in who the director was going to be? But this is the thing, because this is the film Twitter space, and I know some people might not like what I'm going to say. Not all, but some on film Twitter come across as film snobby. They do come across as film snobby. Some of them are very doom and gloom about Marvel or comic movies in general, franchise movies. Like they whine when their favorite actors get confirmed. Because look, this wasn't just the only big casting announcement at Comic-Con when it comes to Marvel. There was another one that was also announced, and that was David Johnson playing T'Challa's son, T'Challa 2, in Black Panther 3. And I see some people were already moaning and groaning because one of their favorite actors is going to be in the MCU. People moaning and groaning that, Ryan Coogler, after the success of Sinners, is going back to the MCU. Here's the thing: no one has said that they have to do these movies. They do them because they want it. Ryan Gosling wanted to do Ghost Rider because he likes Ghost Rider. He's been wanting to do it for quite some time. David Johnson, apparently he was hired 6 months ago. He is very excited. He is very appreciative of the opportunity that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige are giving him. And by the way, people forget the Black Panther movies, those movies compared to other Marvel movies, they do gain some awards season traction. Black Panther did get nominated for Best Picture, which, I mean, I don't know if I would have nominated for Best Picture, but hey, that was a remarkable achievement. I'm very happy about that. And people weren't complaining when Ryan Coogler was doing Creed, the Rocky spinoff, focusing in on Apollo Creed's son. No one was complaining about that. You know, these actors want to join the MCU, let them. I remember when the girl from Obsession, I'm going to mispronounce her name, I know it, but Inde Neverade, sorry if I mispronounced her name, apparently she's got an interest in doing a superhero movie, or I think it was a Marvel movie, and people are already like freaking out saying, no, no, no. She's got the right to want to do it. Look, these actors have the right to pick what projects they want to pick. It's not like Kevin Feige's holding them hostage and saying, you got to do it, you got to do it. These people have the right to say no. Apparently, Kevin Feige said, I think it was like last week, that he's been trying to get recruit Adam Driver, but Adam Driver keeps saying no. So yeah, Kevin Feige probably does recruit these actors. He probably reaches out to them. And look, just like, you know, they have the right to say, I want to do it, they have the right to say no. And if they say no, they also have the right to later decide if there's the right role to come back. The thing is, I feel like film Twitter, they're very anti-MCU. At least some accounts are. And look, I get it if you're sour on the MCU because the multiverse saga has been a big roller coaster. It's been very hit or miss, but I feel like it's gotten better recently. So I get it if you're down on it because of that, but acting like the MCU was never that good, acting like it's always been overrated. The MCU has given us some bangers in the Infinity Saga. I mean, I still remember the excitement of the first Avengers movie when it came out, how the theater was having a blast. I remember as a 17-year-old being so intrigued by the Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then months later being entertained by Guardians of the Galaxy. Look, I've got my criticisms for the MCU, and we're going to get more into them when we talk about some Doomsday stuff. But I'm still intrigued. I'm still invested because you know, first of all, when you still got characters like Spider-Man involved, you're still getting my money. If Deadpool's involved, you're still getting my money. Avengers Doomsday's got a lot of characters in it, characters that I'm invested in. I've invested in this new Fantastic Four. I am looking forward to seeing what Ryan Gosling's going to do as Ghost Rider. I'm curious to see how David Johnson's going to do as the new Black Panther. And hell yeah, Denzel Washington, even though he wasn't at Comic-Con, supposedly he got a role in Black Panther 3. He said in an interview a couple of years ago that Ryan Coogler is trying to write him a role in Black Panther 3. And he says it's going to be one of his last roles. I ain't going to miss Denzel Washington being in a comic book movie, especially if it's one of his last roles. Which, by the way, that is going to be a sad day when Denzel Washington retires. I love me some Denzel Washington. Well, I love his performances. But I'll definitely say this. So far, the confirmed and rumored movies post Secret Wars, Black Panther 3, Ghost Rider, X-Men. I'm I feel like this is off to a more exciting start than what happened after the Infinity Saga end, because after Far From Home and Endgame, it was Black Panther, a movie that probably should have came out before Infinity War. Eternals, which was just so boring. No, that turned out to be a boring movie. Shang-Chi was great. I like Shang-Chi, but I feel like this is going to be, I think, a much more exciting start to post Secret Wars than the post Infinity Saga start was. And I think Marvel needs to do that because they know that unless something big is coming out, like an Avengers movie or a Spider-Man movie or a Deadpool movie, box office is going to be hit or miss. And I think Black Panther 3 will probably do well. It's coming out December 15th. So it comes out around Christmas. It's going to make that holiday season, Christmas season box office money. Ghost Rider, though, that will be interesting, especially because people in the main that are familiar with mainstream Ghost Rider, they most likely only remember Ghost Rider from the bad Nicolas Cage movies. And by the way, Eva Mendes, who is Ryan Gosling's love of his life, she was in Ghost Rider, the first one. So that's pretty interesting. Because she was Ghost Rider's love interest in that movie. Eternals is one of my least favorite MCU movies, bottom five, but I don't hate it. I don't hate Eternals. It was just boring. I think that was the first time my mom was bored with an MCU movie. She usually doesn't get bored with MCU movies. She likes MCU movies, but she was bored from that movie. And I remember I was trying to convince myself, it's an underrated movie. It just did not leave a lasting impression. That's all I can say. Because when they were supposed to do it Eternals 2, in between, well, I remember a few, like 4 years ago, they announced it was supposed to be Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars. But obviously, because between Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumanium not being well received and Jonathan Majors getting into the trouble that he got into, they changed the plan from King Dynasty to Doomsday. But I remember Comic-Con 4 years ago, I think Eternals 2 was supposed to come out between the Avengers movies. That's got canceled, and clearly Eternals is no longer in the plan for Marvel, because even if you just follow the leaks of Doomsday and Secret Wars, which, I'm not saying they're going to be true or not, but they always bring up other characters in the leaks except the Eternals. So that alone tells you that the Eternals are not going to have any presence in these upcoming Avenger movies or post Secret Wars. And I mean, it's got its silly moments for sure. It's got its entertainment value. And again, there's always something worse than it. Ghost Rider is far from being the worst comic book movie that I've seen. Spirit of Vengeance, yeah, but and then some Doomsday stuff. So yesterday, Haley Atwell was officially confirmed, which I thought she got confirmed at the end of 2024. I think it was around the time that Chris Evans was originally being rumored. But I mean, if we're gonna be honest here, if if Chris Evans was coming back as Steve Rogers, coming back from his time to come help, then Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter was definitely going to appear at some point in the movie. Not as Captain Carter's, although maybe in Secret Wars there might be a variant. Who knows? But I knew she was going to be in it. Ryan Reynolds made a surprise appearance. And I don't know if that's their way of hinting that Deadpool's going to make a small appearance in Doomsday. I don't like talking about the leaks, but because I don't like the Scooper game. I don't like Scoopers in general, but I might as well address it. Apparently, Deadpool's gonna at least be in the beginning of Doomsday, and it's been rumored he could have a big role in Secret Wars. So I don't know if it's their way of saying, yeah, expect Ryan Reynolds to appear in a small role in Doomsday. But no, there was some funny banter. He still wants to know why Thor was crying. Shooter Black Panther 3 on film. You mean shooting Black Panther 3 on film is like shooting a Pixar on film. Why? I don't know where you're getting at with that, Degrassi. I honestly don't know. But apparently, an exclusive trailer for Doomsday was shown, and someone uploaded like bad quality version of it on YouTube. I think it got taken down, but I watched it before it does get taken down. I watched it, and I honestly think the trailer, based on the audio and what I was able to get a small glimpse of, it looks like they got the better trailer compared to the trailer we got. I didn't hate the trailer that we got, which came out this week, but it was clearly just the trailer that they showed at a CinemaCon, which to me, I hate this whole exclusive trailer thing. If anything, they should have just released the that trailer around April when CinemaCon happened, and then released the Comic Con trailer like right now. That's all I'm saying. I don't believe for a second Ron, who does all his voiceovers. I mean, I don't know. I know Ryan Reynolds like had a video on his social media showing him at Comic Con in that costume. But I don't know, it could be a trick. I like to see them shoot a Pixar film on film. That'd be interesting. A movie like Black Panther 3 is 85% visual effects. Why shoot green screen? It's on film. I mean, it feels like the opposite of the Christopher Nolan approach where he uses no green screen. Literal Larrys. Comic Con also did show more of the Sentinels, the Sentinel head, as well as the Doctor Doom's witches. Oh, it was Joe. So like, they were showing the costumes of what the characters are going to wear. Some of the cast was there, not the whole cast. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, Paul Rudd, Kelsey Grammer, Rebecca Romajan, James Marsden. And James Marsden seems like he's really excited that he's gonna be doing Cyclops the way Cyclops should have been done, because Cyclops was very underutilized in those uh, early X-Men movies. He was, which is a shame. So yeah, the Laverian witches see some of their costumes. I'm curious to know who they're going to be playing as. I know some people are trying to theorize that Scarlet Witch is going to be one of them because we haven't seen her since Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and I don't believe she's dead personally, but I do wonder where she's going to be. Nothing about any other characters. I think people were expecting more characters to be confirmed. People were, I think, expecting Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Tobey Maguire as Spider Man. Because I guess, like in the reel that they were showing before the trailer, they were showing not just like the MCU characters. They were showing the X-Men, and they were showing Tobey Maguire Spider Man. And I know the rumored leaks say that Tobey Maguire is going to have a presence at the beginning of Doomsday, but like Reynolds, he's going to have a bigger role in Secret Wars. I know that's the big rumor. I think, I don't know how true it is. They did say like one of the toys in the Doomsday twin line might confirm Tobey Maguire's Spider Man. My thing is either just confirm it or scoopers just shut their mouths and just let audiences be surprised. If the studio wants it leaked out, the studio can tell the trades. And if not, let's just leave it as a surprise for the movie. I have to say, I did such a great job with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think the leaking game was as strong with Deadpool and Wolverine, but I know it was such a big surprise for me when I saw Wesley Snipes as Blade and Channing Tatum as Gambit. Oh yeah, and also Chris Evans as the Human Torch. Like to me, those were some really good surprises for the movie. Rod Reynolds was a joke, so was capturing a live action computer cartoon on film. It don't make no sense. The Herbie stuff is weird. Was weird. I'll say that. Oh, I didn't know he passed up on the boys. James Marsden. Oh, I didn't know that. Yo, we haven't even gotten to the brand new day stuff yet. Why would Jean Grey be trying to make Peter Parker fall in love? Yo, if that's a plot line for Brand New Day, yo, that's gonna be crazy. Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna get into some Brand New Day predictions. Yeah, the other thing that happened at the Marvel Studios panel was John Berthel made a surprise appearance, and I guess exclusive footage of the Spider-Man and Punisher versus Hulk fight was shown. I didn't know that about James Marsden. It's really interesting. Didn't know that at all. Oh wait, what am I doing? I was just checking to see if any messages. Don't want to see my private stuff. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna get some brand new day theories and predictions. I think we covered everything about Avengers. I think the rumor trailer looked better than expected. So now we're gonna get to the predictions. So brand new days coming out this week. Fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I can't believe it's been 10 years of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. It's been an interesting journey that he's been on, from being recruited to fight for Iron Man's team in the middle of Captain America Civil War, to stopping the Vulture in Homecoming, to going into space in Infinity War, teaming up with Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, coming back in Endgame, finding Mysterio in Europe, and finding love with MJ in Far From Home, only to have his identity leaked out in No Way Home, the multiverse opening, and him teaming up with the Toby and Andrew versions. So, and I'm not going to go based off leaked plot points. I'm just going based off of things. So, I'm 95% certain that Jean Grey is who City Sink is playing. As far as villains go, I don't think Tombstone's going to have as big of a presence as I think some people suggest. He's barely, if at all, been in the marketing. I think he's finally recently was included in I think one of the TV trailers. I'm not too sure. I know comicmovie.com had an image of him holding Spider-Man by the neck somewhere. Um, Scorpion, Spider-Man's probably going to fight Scorpion a couple of times. Michael Mando's going to be on a revenge tour quest as Scorpion. Spider-Man's probably going to at first team up with Damage Control, but then is going to be against Damage Control because at first it looks like Jean Grey's going to be the big threat, but she probably won't be. As far as the mutation plot goes, so there's been this whole debate and these whole rumors of Man Spider was supposed to be in the movie. Peter Parker is supposed to transform into Man Spider because we see he gets organic webbing. We see a couple of times his eyes turn differently. He's talking to Dr. Banner about the mutation stuff, which I think he goes to Banner about mutation and that fear of what's going to happen because obviously Dr. Banner transforms into the Hulk. But there's rumors that Sony apparently cut out the Man Spider stuff because they thought it'd be too scary, which, come on, Sony. I mean, you're okay with letting Punisher, who's usually in R-rated Marvel shows and Marvel presentations, but you're not going to be okay with a giant man spider? That'd be very disappointing. Although then again, I'm scared of spiders, so a part of me is not complaining if we don't get man spider, but I think it would be cool at the same time, also frightening. The Hand, I think, is going to play a bigger role than I think people suggested. How many Marvel only characters can Sony have in a Spider Man movie? I thought there was a limit. Honestly, I have no idea because let's see. Happy Hogan's not a Spider Man character. We had Doctor Strange, we got Wong, we had Matt Murdock, and No Way Home. So those are four non Spider Man related characters in there. So let's see, we got Jean Grey, we got Punisher, we got Bruce Banner, aka Hulk. The guy in charge of damage control, like we see in the trailers, he's talking to Spider Man about helping take on a threat that they can't see. I think he's playing an X Men character, William Metzger, I think it is. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Oh, technically speaking, people forget Punisher started off as a Spider-Man character. He was introduced in Amazing Spider-Man 129, which is also the first time that that Jackal was introduced. It was behind the infamous Clone Saga. Oh, yeah, Bill Metzger. So yeah, I was right. Because Trammell Tillman's going to be playing him. I think he's also going to be one of the antagonists because I think he's an X-Men antagonist usually. So, cameos don't count. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's the thing. Far From Home, I mean, Nick Fury wasn't a cameo where the scroll pretended to be Nick Fury. Same with the scroll that was pretending to be Agent Hill. Happy was in that movie. So that was three characters right there that had significant roles in Far From Home. Um, No, I think the main question is going to be by the end of the movie is MJ and Ned going to remember who Peter is? I have yet to really make a prediction on this because I can see it going 50-50. I can see an ending where they still don't remember who Peter Parker is or who Spider Man is behind the mask. Because the thing is, Secret Wars, which I think is going to be the next time we see Tom Holland's Spider Man after Brand New Day. I don't think he's going to be in Doomsday. I could be wrong. Hey, listen, we'll probably find out at the end of the in a post credit scene if they say Spider Man will return in Avengers Doomsday. Maybe it'll be a big surprise. Who knows? But I think he's most likely going to be in Secret Wars, not Doomsday. I think if there's going to be a Spider Man in Doomsday, it's going to be Tobey Maguire. I feel like Secret War after Secret War, where things get restored and some things get changed, some things stay the same. I think one of the things that could change could be Doctor Strange's memory spell. I think that would be, to me, that would make the most sense to undo the spell. And then maybe when the fifth Spider-Man movie comes out, maybe that's when we see MJ and Ned finally remembering. Degrassi thinks they'll remember at the same time because I don't know. They keep saying the ending is divisive. They say while the movie's great, the ending's divisive. There is the assumption that something could happen at the end, maybe something tragic that could ultimately result in MJ and Ned remembering Peter. Or maybe they start to remember, but then the stuff with Doomsday happens. I don't know. There's also hints that the black suit could appear at the end of the movie. And the black suit maybe could have a role in that. I think that the black suit could get saved for Secret Wars. But there is this theory that I'm hearing that the black suit could be the reason why, where most of the other characters are going to forget once Doom takes over and Battle World forms, assuming the Battle World stuff happens, the black suit will apparently protect Peter Parker from it, and he'll be one of the few characters that will remember everything before Battle World. So, and Tom Holland did say, Tom Holland's a bad liar. He did say that the black suit's eventually going to come. I believe it. I think it's just going to come sooner than later. I don't know if it's going to happen here. I also did hear, apparently, Rosario Dawson was at an event and she said that she was supposed to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but her scenes got cut. I know there was a rumor that she was supposed to be in it. I think she was gonna return as Claire Temple. That'd be a shame because that would have been a nice tie-in with the Netflix shows. But it is what it is. I would not be opposed to more Rosario Dawson. I like Rosario Dawson. I think she's a very talented actress. I love her as Becky in Clerks too. I think villains like Ramrod, Boomerang, and Tarantula, they're just going to be montage villains. It'll be cool to see them in live action, but they'll be montage villains for sure. Do I think MJ's new boyfriend is going to be the character, the MCU version of Paul, the guy that Spider-Man fans have hated with a passion the last few years because they accused him of stealing Mary Jane away from Peter Parker in the comics because comic book writers like to, for some reason, they don't want Spider-Man and Mary Jane to ever get their happy ever after it, or at least in the main comics, because in the 1990s comic book sequel, like to the 1990s animated show, Spider-Man and Mary Jane have their happy ending. Ultimate Comics, Spider-Man and Mary Jane are happily married before he even gets his powers. Seems like everywhere but the comics, Spider-Man and MJ have their happy ending. The next 5 years, this crap is gonna. Oh man, the Grassy's dreading the next few years of Marvel discourse. I can tell he's dreading it. Apparently, a soft reboot is difficult for audiences to understand only when James Gunn does it. LOL. Here's the thing. I think audience members. Some audience members are a lot more intelligent than I think studios give them credit for. I also think some audience members are dumb. Here's the reality: a lot of audience members do not read comics. They should, though. They should. They should read to understand the source material. They should read how the comics did Secret Wars to get an idea of what to expect. Because look, not everything in the comics is going to be translated to film. The Infinity War was completely different from what we got in the comics. But the same thing is going to happen with Secret Wars and Doomsday. And it's the same thing with Spider-Man. Look, Spider-Man, this movie's got the same name as Spider-Man Brand New Day, which was basically the comic book arc that happened after One More Day, after Mephisto, Spider-Man and Mary Jane sold their marriage to Mephisto to save Aunt May's life. And people forgot who Spider-Man was after Spider-Man unmasked himself during Civil War. And Civil War was also very different from the Civil War we got in the movies. So comic books are always going to be different from movies for sure. But I know a lot of people are trying to guess, like, is this guy going to be the MCU Paul? I don't know. I remember, again, I hate talking about leaks, but I'm going to address it. In one of the early Brand New Day leaks, apparently MJ, Michelle's boyfriend, was supposed to be MCU version of Harry Osborn. I mean, I would think if it was Harry Osborn, there would be more confirmation, more hype about it. But we still have no idea who the heck Sadie Sink is playing. Just go back and listen to your speculation about the next three movies where the story, it's not you, it's them, it's Marvel. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it, Degrassi. Trying to see, like, what else. I know J.K. Simmons recently said that he's not appearing as J. Jonah Jameson in the movie. I believe it. I don't think he's gonna be in the movie. I feel like the movie. Here's the thing: the movie's basically hinting, based on the trailers, that in the 4 years after No Way Home, Spider-Man has won back the trust of the people of New York City. He is shown to be getting the key to the city. Damage Control is reaching out to him to help with the threat. And remember how they were on his butt in the last movie, thinking he killed Mysterio. I do think at some point in the movie, Damage Control and Spider-Man will be at odds again. But I think at first they're going to have some kind of alliance to take care of this threat that they are struggling to see, which is going to be Jean Grey, most likely. Because Metzger is going to be going after mutants. This is going to be like, the mutant's going to be Jean Grey. The Spider-Man Hulk fight sequence is going to be really intense, and we're finally going to get the Hulk that we have been missing since the beginning of Infinity War. I know some people think Keith David might have a role. I don't know if he will or not. I don't think it's ever been confirmed, because a lot of people thought he was narrating that first trailer. So I'm not going to say that he's going to be in the movie yet or not. But yeah, I do think though, if the direction of the movie is going to be Spider-Man has won back the trust of the people in New York City, gained the key to the city, it would have probably been neat to have a couple of moments of J.K. Simmons, Jameson questioning what's wrong with the city, what's wrong with the mayor, what's wrong with all these officials celebrating Spider-Man. The most answer positive was, would you watch a sequel to the Odyssey? I would definitely watch a sequel to the Odyssey if there was a sequel to the Odyssey. I definitely would. First of all, I'm not opposed and to another Nolan movie. Although I think Nolan's next movie should be a horror movie. But I'm also opposed to it because I feel like there could be more to explore in that universe. It would be interesting to see um like what happens with Odysseus and Penelope, like what when they're sailing away into Odysseus's exile, how his son rules and how his son might be dealing with possible outside threats. That would be interesting. Sequel to Odyssey is Nolan's next movie is a comedy. Now, Nolan, I would love to actually see how Nolan would approach a comedy. Here's the thing: when Nolan does incorporate humor in his humor is actually funny. Dark Knight trilogy, I thought he had really good humor in those movies when he had humor in them. Inception had some decent humor in it. I thought that had good humor. I would not be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to anything Christopher Nolan does. Christopher Nolan is that good of a director. And he has tackled so many genres where I feel like at this point, comedy and horror should be like the next two on his list. Although I would laugh if comedy was like if a Christopher Nolan directed comedy was his worst movie. I would laugh at that. I'm sorry. Anything else about Spider-Man Brand New Day? Any other theories I want to get out of the way? Um, I know IGM last month had something about like what the first 3 minutes was gonna have. Of he was gonna have an AI. Um, the AI will be like his only companion. I don't think the AI is gonna play as big of a role as some people think it's gonna play. I really don't. Nolan can be a real character. He's comfortable with you, a total jokester. I have never heard anyone say one bad thing about Christopher Nolan as a person. And I mean, when you consider the fact that like the kind of movies that he makes and the crazy practical work that they do, you have to be a likable director to get that out of your actors. I know he did recently say that he would like to work with Christian Bale again. I think Christian Bale should do another movie with him. I mean, besides the Dark Knight trilogy, he's only ever done The Prestige with Christopher Nolan, which I think is an excellent movie. He loves the dirty joke. Yo, Christopher Nolan doing a dirty comedy movie would be hilarious. I would definitely pay money to see that. Um, let's see. Anything else with Brand New Day though that I want to get out of the way? Punisher. I think Punisher is going to represent what Peter could turn into if he keeps going down this path of being alone. I think that's going to be like symbolism for him. I think there's going to be bigger plans with Tombstone beyond this movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I have to say, I think the trailers did a pretty good job of not, compared to the No Way Home trailers, where you really don't have an idea of what's gonna happen in this movie. And I feel like the leaks were a lot more all over the place with this one in comparison to Doomsday, where the leaks, with the exception of a few differences in each leak, the general plot still is the same with Doomsday based on the leaks. Um, I know there's rumors that Florence Pugh as Yelena could appear in the movie. I think she'll probably make like a brief appearance. Won't be anything big. I don't think it's going to tie into Doomsday though. When filming began last year, I thought it would, but with it looking less likely that Tom Holland's going to be in Doomsday, I don't think he's going to be in it. She's going to be in it for that long, or it's going to tie into Doomsday. Um, Mid credit, post credits. I think one's probably going to be a hint of Doomsday. I think another one's going to be a hint of what Spider-Man's next adventure is going to be. Probably hinting towards the black suit. Can't use anything else. Could Jean Grey play a role in restoring the memories of MJ and Ned? I'm gonna honestly say no. I think because I feel like that's the predictable route. Now, if that happens, is it gonna ruin the movie for me? No. Because, classic film Twitter, there when they saw that MJ and Ned were gonna be in this movie and it seems like they're gonna have big roles, they got right into saying, couldn't we go one movie without them and all that? It's like it's too soon. He's been without them for 4 years. It's been almost 5 years since No Way Home came out. I feel like if this movie had came out in 2023 or 2024, I would understand the complaints. But I don't think it's too soon anymore. I'm not gonna be opposed to it, but I feel like there's got to be an emotional payoff for it to happen. That's just how I think. If Sadie Sink's character is trying to make Peter fall in love with her, why would she be Jean Grey? Is she really trying to make Peter fall in love with him? Like, I really don't understand that. I feel like if anything, the Jean Grey plotline is that damage control captured her. They think she's a dangerous mutant because she's, I guess, like the gonna be one of the first X-Men mutants in here, and she thinks that Spider-Man is her enemy. She's gonna play a role in Banner turning into Savage Hulk. I don't know what the end result's gonna be though. Although it is rumored she's gonna be in Secret Wars, so that again, that's why I like. I mean, if she's not Jean Grey, that's fine as well. Because for a while, I didn't think she was going to be Jean Grey. I got no problem with her not being Jean Grey. It's the fandom because the fandom they like their theories to be true. But Sony's probably so giddy right now because they got a big hit coming up with Spider-Man. The fact that they've got the Hulk in a Spider-Man movie, and assuming that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey, they got an X-Men character in there. They also got Punisher. It's like this is like their dream come true scenario. And look, even if she's not Jean Grey, they still got Punisher and Hulk in their movie. So yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I think I'm hoping it's good. I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised if the movie gets better reviews than Doomsday because some people are worried that Doomsday is going to be messy or that there wasn't enough hype surrounding Dune, which I want to address before the stream ends. So there's this concern people have that, unlike Thanos, Dune doesn't have that much hype surrounding him. Now, to be fair, Feige brings up a good point that, Thanos wasn't really in it a whole lot, but Thanos' presence was a lot stronger. We saw Thanos in the mid-credits scene in the first Avengers. We saw him appear in Guardians of the Galaxy, appeared in the mid-credits scene of Avengers Age of Ultron. His daughters, Gamora and Nebula, were key characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So there was obviously a strong presence. Oh yeah, Thor Ragnarok, his ship appearing in the mid-credits scene of Thor Ragnarok. But I feel like it was really the Infinity Stones that were the driving force. And I think it's not so much as Dune. I think it's more of how did Marvel approach the multiverse before Doomsday? And I think there's going to be a debate among fans as to whether or not there was enough multiverse projects. And there are some that'll bring up the fact that characters that experienced the multiverse stuff, a lot of them are not in Doomsday, or at least confirmed for Doomsday. Like Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Deadpool. And I get that. I feel like this movie's Avengers Doomsday is going to be longer than Infinity War because obviously you're going to have to address stuff with Doom. Apparently, the trailer at San Diego Comic-Con, based on what I heard, the Fantastic Four already have a history with Doom. And it sounds like there's going to be a tragic backstory with Doctor Doom. I'm curious to see how that's going to be explored and how much time they're going to dedicate it. Because in Doomsday, you've obviously got to address the characters that are currently in the MCU: Thor, Sam Wilson, Steve Rogers return, the new Avengers led by Yelena, Shang-Chi, how's he get incorporated into this? Ant-Man, how's he get incorporated into this? Shuri, the rest of the Wakandan characters, Namor, the Fantastic Four, how do they come in here? The X-Men come here, which I'm excited, but man, there's going to be a lot of things happening in this movie. Sony gets 0% of this movie's purchasing. It's just, yeah, I know. Yeah, Marvel's going to get a lot of money from this. If anything, this is really Marvel's. This is Kevin Feige's dream scenario. Like getting Spider-Man, Hulk, Punisher, possibly an X-Men character, all in the same movie together. He's really excited, I can tell. Oh yeah, American Chavez. Yeah, what's American Chavez's role going to be in these movies? I'm glad you brought her. I'm glad. I think are you alluding to American Chavez? Because if so, you're correct. the listed official runtime. All right, I feel like they're gonna change the runtime. Yeah, Sue's speech it's addressed. So I think that's it for tonight. Um, it's an hour and 45 minutes. It's a Sunday night. I don't want to go too much more later, but yeah, the future of Marvel. I'm not gonna get my hopes up too high, but I feel like it's going to be looking better than I think how the multiverse saga started. I think it's going to look more promising. But again, depending on how Doomsday and Secret Wars goes, could determine how excited people are for what will happen afterwards. I know Kevin Feige said he's got plans to do Marvel movies up until 2042, which I'll be 46 by that point. Yeah, I'm gonna be like 45, 46 years old. The MCU started in 2008. I was 11 when the first Iron Man movie came out, as well as the Incredible Hulk. When the first X-Men movie came out back in 2000, I was not even 4 years old yet. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out, wasn't even 6 years old yet. Yeah, this is very interesting. Very interesting time that we're in. And by the time Doomsday comes out, I'm gonna be 30. She's not gonna have one. Should be relegated to standing around nodding at exposition. Oh wow. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that as well. Because the thing is, when I think Marvel has is got an idea as to what characters they feel like is they need to focus on more to get seats in. Chavez is not going to be one of them. Gosling, Ghost Rider, different than Chain Team Gambit. It's nostalgia for a thing that never existed. Um, I don't know if I see it as that. Yeah, I feel like though the Channing Tatum Gambit thing is more similar to the John Krasinski Fantastic Four. I mean, Mr. Fantastic thing where John Krasinski played Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness just because it was such a popular fan casting. I feel like if anything, though, this Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider thing, hopefully, it feels more similar to the Marsha Ali Blade thing, where he wanted to play Blade and approached Kevin Feige. Which, by the way, I think Blade got canceled. I mean, it hasn't been brought up. I think Kevin Feige, not at Comic Con, but recently expressed that one of his regrets was not getting the Blade movie done because they really dropped the ball on Blade. I remember when Blade got announced back in 2019. That was like one of the few things I was really excited about when Marvel dropped the slate in 2019. And it's just like nothing's happened. Directors have dropped out, actors have dropped out, and it's such a shame because I think he also appeared in a post credit scene for Eternals. Yeah, the Mahershala Ali deserved better. You know, when an actor really has a passion project, they should deliver. Hopefully, they deliver with Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider. Um, Hopefully, Sean Levy delivers the goods as a director. And yeah, I think that's it for tonight. It's getting late. Got to go to work tomorrow. And what are your thoughts on Odyssey's box office? Do you think it's going to make $1 billion worldwide? What do you think is going to happen with Spider-Man Brand New Day? What are your thoughts and theories? What did you think of last night's Marvel Studios Comic Con panel? And do you think film Twitter should just leave the MCU alone and maybe stay in their own corner of things. Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already. And please share us with someone that's into the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan movies, Marvel movies, anything, just movies in general. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening and take care, everyone.